Hello everybody and welcome to ISM Raceway for round 2 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 Championship. And we're going oval racing, or triangle racing, if you will, today after starting out our season at Road America. So we're going to see a completely different race to what we saw last time out, and that was in itself a fantastic event. So really looking forward to seeing what we are going to get ahead of us in about a few minutes time when we go racing. We're live, as always, on the Global SimRacing channel. My name is Ryan Jones, and alongside me, Oshian Puhaka, Joe Peak behind the scenes using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. And let's dive down and take a little bit of a closer look at ISM Raceway here in Phoenix with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to the Valley of the Sun and Phoenix Raceway. Located about 15 minutes west of downtown Phoenix at the base of the Estrella Mountains, Phoenix Raceway opened in 1964. Phoenix is known for its unique tri-oval layout, and in 2011 underwent a facelift for the first time in its history, adding banking to both corners while opening up that dogleg into a high bank sweeping corner with lots of room down on the apron. This resulted in a drastic change in racing here in the desert. The original layout called for using the sweeping turns 3 and 4 to set up a pass in the out-braking zone entering turn 1. But the new layout, especially with the NASCAR-style cars and an open dogleg, encourages quite the opposite, as several different entry lines now exist for turns 3 and 4, often allowing for side-by-side racing and better passing opportunities on the back half of the track. Now, the renovated layout still possesses many risks to overeager drivers here at Phoenix. The apron in turns 3 and 4 can be especially slick on an open-wheel car, and don't forget the wall on corner exit. Turn 4 has claimed many aggressive drivers throughout the years. That wall just kind of feels like it pops out and grabs you at times. And while the changes here have helped make racing more competitive, the age-old rule, of course, still applies. Track position is king. Get out in front, you're sure to have an easier time navigating this tricky track. So what do you say? Why don't we hike up Rattlesnake Hill, grab your virtual chair, and settle in for what's sure to be a great show.
A look there at ISM Raceway. And Ozzy, what do you want to tell us about this racetrack as we get ready to tackle it over 55 minutes today?
Well, you know, it's a highly technical circuit, Phoenix International Raceway, located in Phoenix, Arizona, United States. In the middle of the desert, we are going racing. It's 1 mile long, 1.609 kilometers. Turns are very lightly banked, and you got 4 corners, believe it or not. The first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one, according to short American corner numbering scheme. And it's going to be a very interesting track because you think ovals are easy. You think like with a Formula car, you're racing an oval, it's going to be easy. I don't think so. It might be more difficult than you initially anticipate, especially once these tires start wearing out, Ryan.
Yeah, and dirty air as well, going to be a massive factor the deeper you get in the pack. As always, today's race is brought to you by SIMMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring organizations, companies, manufacturers, teams, and drivers together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. They're also bridging virtual and real motorsports by providing a network between these two, involving sim racers, real drivers, teams, managers, engineers, and of course, motorsports fans alike. You can find out more about how you can get involved at SIMMSA.net. So we're 1 round down in the championship, which means our standings are how they finished out at Road America. And that leaves Declan Eady as your race winner and championship leader, from Greg Seitz, Joshua Chin, Nicholas Delp, and David McDonald. Unsurprisingly, just 9 points covering them. So plenty up for grabs today if someone deeper in the pack wants to come out and show their oval prowess.
That they definitely do. And they also have a team championship here, Ryan. And team standings after one round, it's Rust Racing Steel in the first position, ahead of RSR Esport. Team Talent currently finding themselves on the podium after one round, with Lavoie Motorsports, Ford, and Rust Racing Iron rounding out your top 5 Indy Teams Championship.
It's the race details of today. Slightly different format to the road races, isn't it, Ozzy?
Yeah, you could say that again. You got 100 laps and time limited to 55 minutes, so whichever comes first will be the deciding factor at ending this race. Drive-through at 11 incident points, disqualification at 20 incident point, bonus points for pole, fastest lap, 3 incidents or less. And the most important factor, open setup. That is gonna be some real trouble, because I know from experience, road guys making oval setups might get a little bit, shall we say, exciting.
Messy might be another word. Qualifying's just come to a conclusion, and we'll take a look at how they are going to line up here at Phoenix International Raceway, previously known as ISM Raceway, but it's back to Phoenix now. So Delp and Ike occupy the front row. Brendan Wilson and Liam Quinn will jump on row 2. Declan Eady and Owen Watts 5th and 6th, and Alex Goyon and Lyndon Swaby starting 7th and 8th. The top 10 will be rounded out by Daniel Zegers and Stefan Verratti.
11th place, Nathan Lewis ahead of Andrew Wood. Then it's Aaron Ruffs and David McDonald. Baron Daly starting 15th, Roland Jones 16th. Then it's David Surratt, Mitchell Green, Daniel Cronifus, and Michael Overbay rounding out your top 20. Mark McDonald, Greg Seitz, J.W. Miller, and Armando Edwards are the last starters in your 24-car, 12-row field.
And it is hot out there in the Arizona desert. It is 114 degrees Fahrenheit, 46 degrees Celsius for people like me who use normal temperature measurements, and an air temp of 17 degrees Fahrenheit as well. Not much wind, a little bit humid, but clear skies overhead, so that sun is beating down to the racetrack. Going to be pretty greasy for these guys. And Phoenix is a track I love, Ozzy, because it's a mile long, and it is a short track, but it's very unique in that sense as well.
It is quite unique. The shape is not very normal, because usually when you see an oval these days, you think maybe of the cookie cutter 1.5 mile ovals, the D ovals. But this is kind of like a small D oval, only that the main straight is not where you expect it to be. The main straight is the straight bit. Then you come into turn number 1, which is surprisingly shallow and long, because it kind of like ends halfway where you expect it to end. Then you got that Pocono-like kink on the back straight, which is again not quite symmetrical. It's different of a kink that you expect, and then you come into 3 and 4, which are more like traditional oval corners. So it's got its own very significant and detailed nature. And another thing that it's gonna be very significant is that kink, because you are gonna use that dogleg out here, and they're gonna cut it at least a little bit opening on. Of course, they can't cut it too much. You can see the cones there on that dogleg, but they can cut it a little bit, and that's going to be something they will use and they will abuse until their tires no longer allow them to do so.
Yeah, so it's a closed dogleg today, so those cones determine the furthest you can cut the track when you come through there. We're only going to get a lap under the pace car, so we're going to go back racing. We're going to go racing very quickly here. So come onto the green flag. It's Nicholas Delp in control of the field. As a green flag flies, and we go racing from Phoenix. And look how tightly packed the top 3 are as they run down to turn number 1. Delp will hold the lead, but Ike up top doing well to carry the momentum.
For the back, they are 3 wide already. There's amazing shuffles going on. And that was, I think, Nathan Lewis making 3 wide, trying to make his way to the top, and he spins around in turn number 4, and there's a massive mayhem. 3 cars in the wall. That's Lewis, that's Andrew Wood, and 1 other driver as well, David McDonald, involved in that wreck, and that was a big one. And cold tires, well, they can bite you, and they can bite you hard, Ryan.
That looked like about a dozen cars taken out. Now that's a massive wreck to open up the proceedings tonight. So this is the replay. They're 3 wide there, entering the corner mid-pack. Ooh, contact behind. He gets turned around. A spinner in front as well. So there were two different incidents that unfolded.
Ow.
And that was a vicious hit for the,
who was that
orange
in the
car.
orange
Who
car?
was that?
That was Armando Edwards, actually. Armando Edwards, car number 25, who went right in the wall. So yeah, you got a hit there, and you got a spinner further up front. That was Nathan Lewis spinning in the front. So you had two separate incidents in turns 3 and 4. And then Armando Edwards, after starting 24, he just went straight on and into the wall. I think it was him. I'm not 100% sure. But here we see a replay of it. Just look at that impact. Once he comes into that wreck a little bit further behind, and that did not look nice at all. Like,
And as
he's
everyone-
almost through it. Yeah.
As everyone tried to check up, it just got bigger and bigger, and more drivers got involved. We saw from the onboard as well, another driver that had pretty much avoided it and then got collected from behind. So that takes out a bunch of cars early, back under the guiding lights of the iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car.
Yeah,
It was a good start for Andreas Eick, though. He did manage to take away the lead of the race before the caution flag flew, so he will lead them back to the green when we get there.
Yeah, and one guy I want to point out right now, car number 216, Mark McDonald. He started 21st. I was watching him on the start, actually, from the commentary position. And he went 3 wide right from the start. He actually left a gap and jumped the start a little bit, which is what you see a lot of the road guys do on the ovals, because they don't quite know the procedure or they want an advantage. Either or. Mark McDonald jumped the start, went 3 wide, passed 2 rows right at the start. He nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. And then he managed to get away from the wrecks as well. So now he's sitting in 10th place after 3 1/4 racing laps. So that's quite a gain for Mark here.
No one pitting. Unsurprisingly, they only managed about 3/4 of a mile at racing conditions, though. If we do get more laps under our belts before the next caution, if we do get another caution, expect everyone to dive to the lane for a fresh set of tires and some fuel, because I don't believe these cars will be fueled to the end either. So that's going to be something these drivers need to consider. Full list of drivers involved: Alex Goyon, David McDonald, Armando Edwards, Mitchell Green, Nathan Lewis, Stephen Verratti, Byron Daly, and Andrew Wood. That leaves us with 15 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, that's not too much. That's 9 cars out already after 1 lap, 1 racing lap. They're out before we even had time to start talking about the dangers of oval racing, as we're going green this lap. Just one more point. They have to conquer the cold tires once again. 1 lap worn cold tires, so pretty much fresh as a daisy. And I hope they can make it out better this time. You know, we can't afford to lose another 9 cars.
No, we can't. Going to be a single file restart using the same regulations as the Indy car when they go oval racing. So Andreas Eick will control us. If you want to see where everyone is in the field, make sure you hit up gsrc.tv, because we are going to watch the front here as we go back racing. Andreas Eick with a good jump. Nicholas Delt was a bit sluggish away, and Brendan Wilson was chasing him, looking for a way through. Can't quite get there for turn 1.
No, he can't. For the back as well. Good starts from everybody. Going a little bit wide is 1 car, and that's in the wall. Lyndon Swaby is in the wall from 7th place. Nothing too serious there. He just tapped the wall, and as a result of that, losing a couple of positions there, Ryan. But up at front, it's looking quite good.
Yes, Wilson managed to actually drive around the outside of Delt through turn 1.
Swaby's in the
and
wall
did a
hard.
fantastic job of that as the caution flies once more for Swaby, we suspect.
Yeah, we suspect that Lyndon Swaby was the guy who caused that caution. Maybe he went into the wall, and you can see it here. He already had troubles earlier on. He's gonna come out of come into 3 here, 10 coming out of 4, and once again just too anxious on the throttle. He can't get the car to turn. And look at him, already on the wrong line, and then just bam, gonna smack that wall, and a lot of damage there. That's the right rear tire absolutely gone. You got the suspension gone, and it's not very easy for him to make it out of the pit lane, but he manages to do so, and it's a good thing he's got the red cross on his helmet, because he might need those guys later on in the race. Oh wait, that's a switch spot flag.
Check out the understeer he had through turn 1 though, and then again through turn 3 and 4. The car just takes off on him, up into the fence. Right side of the car completely destroyed. Oh, never mind. The dirty air. It's exactly what we were talking about. The dirty air is a massive factor. You've got to adapt to it. When you're behind, 3 or 4 drivers as he was there, it's taking away the air that pushes the front of the car down. When the front of the car isn't glued to the track, it's going to wash up the track. And that's when you're going to meet our friend, the safer barrier. So, second caution, 38 minutes to go on this one. Looking like we're going to go to the time certainty of 55 minutes and not the distance of 100 laps, if this keeps up.
Yeah, and another thing that might contribute to the understeer is that these were still, cold tires early on in the race. You got full fuel load in these cars, and, Linden might have set up his car for a longer run. And he was surprised both by the cold tires, the understeer, and the dirty air in front of him. So it's a combination of many factors. He already went into the wall once earlier on in that lap, and he just couldn't get it turned in, was scrubbing against the tire all the time. Now, quick point, let's talk about these cars, Ryan, a little bit, because not many people will be familiar with the Indy Pro 2000 as much as the old Star Mazda slash Pro Mazda. That was a tongue twister.
Yeah. So, this is part of the Road to Indy ladder that drivers partake in when they want to head to IndyCar. It sits above the USF 2000, just behind Indy Lights in terms of the positioning and progress the drivers make to get here. And it's very similar to the USF 2000. But obviously, it's a car that you do see racing on road and oval courses, as we've seen in the first 2 rounds of the championship. And it's basically like an IndyCar light, basically, but not quite an IndyCar light.
Yeah, it's a tattoos-made chassis, and they manufacture Formula 4 cars here in Europe as well. It's kind of like a Formula 3, but not really. So it's a smaller Formula car for the United States, and it's, as you said, it's part of the Road to Indy ladder. So you start all the way from like US Formula 2000, then you go to Indy Pro 2000, and then you go to Indy Lights, and then finally, if you make it past that, you get to IndyCar. So it's a great ladder. You got many great drivers coming from this series, and its predecessor, which is the Star Mazda, and later the Pro Mazda. You got drivers like Connor Daly coming out of that chassis and that ladder, as well as many other interesting and very great drivers. And as an Aussie, Matthew Brabham as well, 2013 Pro Mazda champion.
Indeed he was. Nicholas Delt, he's not had a great start. He's only managed about 2 green flag laps, but every time we've gone back racing, he's lost his spot. First to Ike and then to Wilson. So he'll be looking to sort of recoup some lost ground on this restart and maybe try not to lose another position. We're still under the pace car, interestingly. It's taking us quite some time to get the 1 to go signal.
Yeah, it is. Still not 1 to go. Of course, we got a couple of cars laps down. You got some drivers already out of the race or multiple laps down. In fact, we have 13 drivers on the lead lap here as they're getting ready for the final lap of the restart. So you got Linus Wavy out, Michael Overbay out, Roland Jones out, David McDonald out, Alex Guillon out, Armando Edwards out, Mitchell Green out, Nathan Lewis out, Stephen Vardy out, Baron Daly out, and Andrew Wood out of this event so far. Wow.
13 lead lap cars going to come back to the green flag here. 37 minutes remaining from the 55 minutes we started with. See if we can get a decent green flag run in here. Andreas Ike will control us, and if he can get a jump similar to he did last time, it should be pretty comfortable heading down into turn 1. So the pace car is going to dive down at the turn number 4. And then we'll look for the green flag to go back racing for the 3rd time today. Andreas Ike in control. Green flag flies, and we're back underway. A much better start from Nicholas Delp this time from 3rd place. He won't lose a spot immediately. But he does have Liam Quinn right under his rear wing. Just sweep through the first quarter, and Quinn actually washes wide, makes a mistake, and that's going to allow Declan Indy to look to his outside.
Yeah, it is, and let's see if he can make it through. Further back, it's clean start as well. One guy very close to the outside, that's Declan Indy, yeah. But he's gonna make it turn, and that's the difference between him and Lyndon Swaby earlier on, as we have a yellow flag out once again further back, and I'm not really... Oh, that might be Alex Guon and Stephen Verdi, car number 4. It could be... Yeah, it was. It was Alex Guon spinning out in turn number 3 and 4. So you're gonna see it coming into turn number 3 after the kink. You can see him coming into the corner, and then it just snaps out under him mid-corner. You can see it here. Just fine, whoop, and oops, and into the wall, those 2 drivers go. So that's Guion and Veradi out of this race. Well, permanently, I suppose. Those guys were able to make it back to the racetrack, only to snap out and then crash once again.
Looks like he just tried to apply the throttle a little bit too early, and rear end was having none of it. You can see there it starts to go very quickly. It is gone completely, and Verity had nowhere to go, and his car is now a broken mess. Disappointing. We're back under our 3rd caution after just shy of 3 full green flag laps.
Yeah, and the interesting thing was how it just snapped loose on him. You know, he was on the throttle, and then just, you know, suddenly lost grip. I wonder if the outside tire, you know, got turned under the car or something, you know, too little camber, wrong camber setup or something, or if he, you know, just suddenly, I don't know, shifted to a smaller gear. That's what usually happens, locked up the rear diff. That's the only explanation. Well, there is another explanation, which is that, you know, he pretty much just bottomed out on the exit of the corner with the cold tires. When you got the tire pressure low, you bottom out on the corner in the banking, and then you can lose it very, very quickly. Now, one other interesting thing I want to talk about, Ryan, since we are once again on the yellow and we have things to talk about, we could talk about multiple things over the course of this race, between differences between Australia and Finland, you know, our wildlife, how everything's not trying to kill you here. But first of all, the biggest difference between these US Indy Pro 2000 compared to the old Pro Mazda on iRacing. We just got this car, it's brand new. It's about 1 month old on iRacing. And there's one thing that I always wanted in the old Pro Mazda that this car has. Do you know what it is?
Your ability to win races?
Oh, no, that's long gone, mate. That's long gone. That's why I'm in the Commodore boot. I used to be fast. Now I used to be fast and consistent and striking. Now it's just you know. But yeah, a differential, a locking differential instead of an open one. And that is actually quite a big difference.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, this racetrack we're on, Phoenix, undergone a few changes over the last few years. It went from Phoenix International to ISM Raceway, now back to Phoenix International Raceway. But the biggest change of all is the start-finish line is no longer where we have it here at iRacing when they laser scan of the circuit. It's actually on the exit between turn 1 and the dogleg, which lends itself to some wild restarts, because as soon as the green flag comes out, you come across the line, you can fan out to 4, 5 wide, and then you've got to funnel down into what is then turn 2, or as we know it, turn 3. And so that's something that hopefully iRacing can bring soon, is the update to the start-finish line location, because I can't wait to see the wild moments we see from that new spot. But as for now, it sits right here on the biggest straight of them all here at Phoenix. It also means that when the pace car dives down a pit road, it's a long, long wait for the driver who controls the field until they can actually get on the throttle. They actually have to do about a quarter of a lap without the pace car in front of them. Greg Seitz back in 11th place. Now, this is a man that's second in the championship after a strong performance at Road America, and just struggling a little bit early on at least, although he did start 22nd, so he's certainly coming through the pack early.
Yeah, and he might be what you call a pure road racer, you know. for many of these road racing guys, these oval rounds are more like bonus rounds where you don't expect to do well. I know from experience, open setup, setting up a car for the oval versus on the road, it's a completely different experience. You're going to be dealing with an asymmetrical car, first of all. Then you're going to be dealing with things like you don't normally deal with. Positive camber on the wheels on one side, for example. You have to make the car turn, you have to set the tire pressures just right, and then the difference in how the car handles at a light fuel load versus the heavy fuel load, with worn tires versus new tires, how it's going to use those tires. It's a completely different world. Now, it may look easy that these guys are racing these 2,500 horsepower cars around this big oval. Well, big for these cars at least. It might look easy, and it's true. Once they get the tires warm early on, they can go flat out, no problem. But once it gets to later on, once it gets to actually racing here with the draft they have, with all those things, there is more to it than meets the eye at first. So Greg is gonna have a big old learning curve ahead of him over the course of this race, if he's gonna finish high up in the order. But right now he's doing the one good thing, which is, he's staying with the pack, he's keeping his nose clean, and that has already netted him like 10 positions.
Well, let's try this again. Going back to the green flag, it's Ike once again who controls the field. He pins the throttle, we go back racing with an ever shrinking field of running cars. And immediately, Liam Quinn going to lose out because down to his inside is Declan Eady, but Quinn finding a lot of pace up top.
Yeah, he isn't further back. It's a clean start as well. Let's hope for a clean turn 3 and 4. We haven't got clean through one side, I don't think yet. But this time, it's 3 wide further front. It's 3 wide further up front. Owen Watts, Declan Eady, and Liam Quinn having a big old battle. And hey, we got a green racing lap here, Ryan. That's great.
Yes, Eady's still trying to get by Quinn, who's getting good exits off the corners, but his entries are compromised as a result of running up top. You saw Owen Watts have a look to the inside of both of them off the exit of turn 4. A lap ago, this time by Quinn's exit is much more powerful, just able to get down the power much earlier than the car on the inside because his car is pointed straight towards the exit of the corner much earlier than the guy on the inside. That's the reason for those strong exits. So now Eady's going to have to rethink his strategy as Owen Watts has to defend because Daniel Zegers is looking high.
Yeah, and he's looking outside as well. And nice pass around the outside. So he was using that shallow exit that Daniel Zegers, Owen Watts had. And Daniel Zegers able to make it through around the outside, the long way around. Declan Eady now the next one on his list as he's starting to lose a bit of time to Liam Quinn, who's finding himself in the 4th place. So it's Andres Ike, Brandon Wilson, Nicholas Delp, and then it's Quinn, Eady, Zegers, and Watts in what we expect to be a bit of a ding-dong battle in these opening laps of this stint.
It's a pretty close battle as well for 8th place. Mark McDonald is trying to fend off Aaron Roofs and Daniel Kranifus. Those three are very close together. In fact, there's the move for the 26 to the inside. McDonald going to shut that door in his face. He sweeps down across the front wing. And now that gives him a poor exit. And Kranifus is going to capitalize. And he will look down low. He will clear him. Is he going to be able to slide up in front? He is. So Kranifus will take away 9th place.
Yeah, and Wolves has some connection issues. He's coming back though, and Greg Seitz is behind him as well, looking for a position here. So a lot of guys here battling early on in the stint, and I was surprised by how aggressive that blocking move was, at the exit of the corner. He just shut the door very, very close. I guess he got the clear from the spotter and then just, shut the door down. But that's not the point in the race where you expect those moves yet. Those are like 5 to go, 3 to go moves.
Nicholas Delp is starting to think about making his way back forward again in the battle for P2. He had got to the inside for a moment, but he's actually just fallen away now.
Yeah, and Greg Seitz side by side as well with Aaron Roofs here for the 10th position.
Yeah, so keep your eyes on these guys then. Greg Seitz is under a lot of pressure. He's got 4 cars lined up behind him, and the guys in front are starting to drive away from Seitz. So he's struggling. He's half a second slower that lap then the car in front, which was Daniel Kranfuss. He's got Aaron Ralphs, JW Miller, David Soror, all tucked up under his slipstream at the moment.
Yeah, he has. So he's going to be under a lot of pressure here, and that's a difficult situation. Now, he's starting to improve here. He got past Roofs, and here comes Miller as well, trying to get past Roofs. So it was Roofs earlier on, holding these guys back, and it was Sides getting away from them and away from the battle as well. Roofs holding Miller back, holding Siroaf back as well at this point in time. But yeah, it doesn't look like Aaron Roofs has all that great pace, at least early on in the stint. Who knows if his car comes alive later on, but so far not so good. Meanwhile, I think, Ryan, we got a battle for P number 5.
We do. This is Daniel Zegers. Declan Eady is right behind him and starting to hunt him down. And they're starting to close up for second as well. Delp's being joined by Liam Quinn. So those 3 cars just at the front of the shot. So starting to tighten up for a second on back, while Andreas Ike enjoys a comfortable 1 second margin. It's been sat at a second ever since our first lap back under green flag conditions. So he's looking very, very comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, he is, and further back you got Nicholas Delp and Liam Quinn, as you said, mentioned earlier on. It's starting to get tighter behind the leader here, and these guys now considering their moves, considering their situations, Quinn being a little bit careful on the corner exits at this point in time. And that's the one thing in oval not too many people realize who have done road racing, who come from a road racing background, circuit racing background, is how close you have to be to those walls on the entry and on the exit, and how important the line actually is, and keeping the tires in good condition as well, but how little room you leave to those walls. You can honestly, even if it looks wide and even if you're flat out, you want to maximize the use of that track. And it matters even more than on the road courses, because in the road courses you can get away with being a little bit lazy, leaving maybe half a car width on the corner entry. But at the oval you can't get away with that. You have to maximize the entry, the mid corner, and the exit each and every time, because you've got so few corners and the average speeds are so high that each mistake you make, it's gonna be so much more noticeable than on a traditional 12 corner, 14 corner, 16 corner road course that these guys race in, like Mid-Ohio or Sebring or something like that.
Yeah, all about minimizing the steering input, scrubbing the tires as little as possible, keeping up your overall speed through the corners, carrying as much momentum as you can. Nicholas Delp wasn't able to carry the momentum of qualifying into the race, falling back to third very quickly, and now looking like he's struggling to find the last couple of car lengths to be able to have a look at Wilson. The dirty air, probably a big factor at the moment with these cars. They don't generate that much downforce, so you need all the help you can get from the air pushing the car down into the racetrack. And at the moment, it looks like everyone's just stuck a couple car lengths behind each other as they're having to lift off even more through the corners to get the car turned in.
Yeah, and Liam Quinn here, he's sitting in 4th place. If we can go on board with him, you can see the line he's taking to each of those corners, because he's kind of using the opposite of what people usually do here at Phoenix. He's taking turn 1 very, very round the outside. He's not cutting to the apex yet. You can see him here. Well, he's doing it now, but last time by he wasn't doing it. He was missing the apex a little bit. And 10 in 3 and 4, he's turning in very, very early. He's turning in earlier than Wilson and Delp ahead of him. You can see it here. Look how shallow he's coming into the corner. He's almost 1 car length more to the inside, and that's going to compromise his exit, especially in the worn tires. So he's kind of forcing the car in at this point in time, and I'm not sure that's a good look.
Keep an eye on how his tires progress over the next 24 minutes of this one. If we stay green, we do get a caution. I expect everyone to come in and strap on some fresh rubber. Greg Sykes, interestingly, is actually finding some speed by himself. Fastest car on the track last time by, but they're 23.8. Our race leader, Andreas Ike, doing 24.0s at the moment. Of course, he's got no one in front to pull him along, and the guys behind are getting a benefit of the slipstream and the tow to pull them. So Brendan Wilson in second is getting a distant effect, and it's closing in ever so slowly, while the guys behind go quicker and quicker still. Definitely Indy at 23.881 that time.
Yeah, and Ryan, Greg Seitz, a couple of words about him. You can see him, you know, on iRacing, you got these license levels. And because this is an oval race, even if it's with a road car or a road/oval car actually, but more of a road car, and this is a series with more road courses, you got oval licenses in effect. Now, in practice, because this is a league, precision racing league and not official racing, it doesn't matter. But with Greg Seitz, one noticeable thing, he's got that red stripe on his helmet, meaning he's a rookie oval driver doing this well, as we have Zegers and Gwyn going side by side here for what is position number 4. Zegers not able to do anything yet, but you can see now Gwyn starting to drop back a little bit as the stint goes further along. And once again, maybe he's able to adjust his corner entries now that he's noticing getting a lot of pressure.
So it's interesting, the outside seems to be the place to be when you're side by side. When you're by yourself, you want to use as much of the track as possible. That's why we're seeing drivers run down low. But when you're side by side and you're on the inside, you can't get on the power as early because you can't wash up the racetrack as far. Because if you do, you'll hit the car on your outside. And on the entry as well, you're compromised. So on the outside, you're able to carry a lot more momentum around the corner. And that's why the guy up top is getting a benefit when someone like Zegers runs you down and tries to make a move, just can't make it stick. So Zegers needs to find a way to get to the right-hand side of Liam Quinn and then drive around him. There's only a few cases where the outside is the place to be. It happens on a few tracks and a few cars, but generally it's the inside. So good to see the status quo being challenged with the outside dominant lane here.
Yeah, and you haven't got that much banking here, so it's even more surprising. But as you said, the exit, when you can't just put the throttle down, you have to hold a tight line to the inside, and that's why the guy on the outside gets a better exit. And you can see Zegers actually looking a little bit to both sides here as a result of that, you know, trying to think, maybe I can't pass him right the outside, and we have a spinner as well, and yellow flag is out, and that's Andreas Elk from the race lead. He is out of this event, or at least very seriously compromised, and it looks like he did this all by himself, Ryan.
So the race leader has led this one since the start when he got by Dell. What has happened? Down on the inside, the rear end steps away, he spins up the track, hits it with the front and the rear. Left rear is broken.
Yeah, and he was passing Lyndon Swaby, car number 100, you know, just now. I wonder if that distracted him. Not that Swaby did anything wrong, but I wonder if that distracted his entry into the corner. You can see him coming here again, Lyndon Swaby that is, and you can see him and what he sees. Maybe the view further back would be more interesting. Oh, here we go, yeah. He's just taking the outside and sees the race leader spinning ahead of him. What a view that must be, and then you just managed to barely avoid the spinning car of our former race leader, Andreas Eick.
So that throws a massive curveball into the competition, and as predicted, everyone is down on pit road to get some fresh tyres and some extra grip on their Indy Pro 2000s. Brendan Wilson is now the race leader. Whether he can keep that, the race off pit road though, going to be interesting. He rolls off first, so he does. Nicholas Delp will roll off second ahead of Liam Quinn. So no big change there.
No, not at all. So the top three remains pretty much the same. The status quo remains Brandon Wilson leading, Nicholas Delp second, Liam Quinn third, then it's Daniel Zegers and Declan Eady rounding out your top five. Owen Watts still well within the race. Mark McDonald promoting himself to 7th place as a result of the Andreas Eick taking those repairs. Daniel Cronefus now 8th, and Greg Seitz in the 9th place. And Greg Seitz, now what can he do in a longer stint, I wonder, because he got that car very well under him at the later portion of the stint, as we talked earlier on, Ryan. And in fact, his fastest race lap is 23.85, done in lap number 44. Now, when you compare to to the other guys. Mark McDonald, he did his fastest on lap number 43. Owen Watts in lap number 31 and so on. So, you know, a couple of guys being faster earlier on, a couple of guys being faster later on, which usually leads me to believe that those guys, you know, the race is going to be very interesting because the pack is punching up once again as they come towards the later portions of their stint. But more importantly, Brandon Wilson, he's fastest lap 23.9, pretty much. Nicholas Delp in the second place, he's fastest lap 23.86 in lap number 25. So he's done it earlier on. Now with fresh tires, are those guys who are fast early on going to run away? Can they survive turn number 3 and 4? And more importantly, what can someone like Greg Seitz do here in this race? Remember, he started from 22nd. Mark McDonald starting from 21st. J.W. Miller starting 23rd. All of those guys now in top 10, Ryan.
Yeah, a lot of people benefiting from the high attrition we're seeing. Just 12 lead lap cars left. There is 14 cars left in the race. 15th on down. 15th place is 37 laps off. Lyndon Swaby and Andreas Eick, they're 13th and 14th. And Eick still on pit road, getting his damage repaired, seeing if he can get back out on the racetrack. So we are actually 50 laps in, so we're halfway of the race distance. In terms of time, we're 20 minutes to go. We had 55 minutes when we started, so not sure whether we'll get all 100 laps in. Depends on how much the iRacing pace car intervenes between here and then. Based off the pace since our last restart, though, we might get there.
We might. We got 22 minutes.
There's
19 minutes remaining, as you said. Well, almost 20.
A couple of lapped cars actually in between Brendan Wilson and the pace car. They now get out of the way. David McDonald's one of them. So he's 38 laps down. He is circulating now, and he will gain a spot over Roland Johns, who's retired. So even when you do have major damage, if you get it repaired and get back out there, especially if it was part of a major crash, you often find just getting back out there and circulating for 1 or 2 laps will gain you a bunch of positions from other guys that retired officially after their incident. So he will find the benefits of that, and he will reap them. Brendan Wilson, he's got fully clean air now in front of him. Let's see how he goes with it, as he will control the field coming back to the green flag. Pace car's out of the way. It's in the hands of the RSR Esports man. Brendan Wilson going to hold them for a while. A long time he waits. Now he goes. Green flag back in the air. And Declan Eady, did he jump that start? He's gone by Zegers already. And Owen Watts is going to follow him through. Now, interesting to note, their teammates to the race leader, so they would have known when he was going to go, most likely. Yeah, but I wonder if Eady went a bit too early.
Yeah, I wonder about that too. Most serious half-lane change rules now.
He did, into pit lane.
Yeah.
So he's been given a black flag for passing before the green flag. So he comes to pit road to serve that penalty. So that is a big mistake from him. That's going to cost him a lap at least. As his teammate, Owen Watts, timed it a bit better and is now going to go by Liam Quinn as well. And looks to the outside of Nicholas Delp. That was a great move. And oh, that was close. Quinn almost got into the left rear.
Wow, that was a bit too close for comfort. I think Quinn and Owen Watts almost coming together, but Watts and Delp still fighting on in turn number 1. They're fighting mighty hard earlier on in this race, as you can see in the background. Declan Eady weak showing in this event. Now Liam Quinn, I wonder if he can keep these tires together, but he's certainly being quite aggressive early on, you know, trying to get that line, trying to find a way to get past. And this is very difficult, Ryan, to drive behind 2 cars that are racing side by side.
Yeah, while they race side by side, Brendan Wilson says, heck yeah, I'm going to run away with this. Look at the leaderboard. The gap gets bigger and bigger every second. It's now out to about 2 seconds between them as Delp is doing a good job to hold on the inside line. Now he's able to clear Watts and slide up in front of him, but Watts with the crossover move now ducks to his inside. Will we see a move on the inside for the first time in a while? Can he clear him? No, he can't. Momentum up top again. Liam Quinn behind is sat back and thinking, I can't find a way through these guys.
Yeah, exactly. And here we have now Owen Watts clearing Nicholas Delp. Now get your nose in front, Owen, and you got this position. Oh no, he doesn't have the guts to do it. He didn't do it early enough. He left the room for Nicholas Delp, and Delp gonna challenge him again to the outside. This is not great for the tires at all. Delp gonna do a crossover at the exit of 1. That's brilliant. And he's gonna get the position on the dogleg. So he actually made that crossover work and regains his second place. Here comes Liam Gwynn once again to the inside of Owen Watts. Is he gonna make this work? Owen Watts gonna have to better speed to the outside, but he's not utilizing it as well as Nicholas Delp was earlier on. And as a result of that, now he's giving opportunities to Liam Gwynn all the time as they deal with the lap car of David McDonald.
Yeah, Delp now starting to pull a gap as Watts desperately trying to clear off Quinn and then duck down to the inside, which he does. So he takes the racing line for the first time in quite some time. And he settles into third. Quinn struggling with the dirty air. Had to really backpedal as Daniel Zegers was looking to his inside as Quinn washed up within a millimetre of the safer barrier on the outside of the circuit. And Daniel Cranefuss is off the back of these two as well. So that side-by-side duel between Delp and Watts really backed these guys up into a bunch of other competitors such as Cranefuss.
Yeah, indeed, and that's what happens when you race side-by-side anywhere, but especially on the oval. You're gonna waste your tires, and you're gonna use your tires, and you're not able to take the optimal racing line, obviously, because you're side-by-side. So that means you are gonna drive slower. An aggressive defensive move on the inside by Owen Watts. He doesn't want to give Liam Gwynn the inside line, and he's getting a little bit loose. Gwynn round the outside, tanks him, and is able to stay further away from the wall this time round, and there is going to be Daniel Zegers as well challenging Owen Watts right now. So Owen Watts being unusually aggressive on the defense, and that's going to cost him 2 positions.
I think he defended the wrong line there, but interesting to note, inside or outside, Watts doesn't seem to be able to carry the speed. Maybe the setup's not quite working for him because wherever he is, he's either losing the spot or unable to complete the overtake. As Quinn again was struggling off the exit of turn 4, he's really struggling there. Maybe getting a power down a little bit too early through 3 and 4, maybe not getting his line quite right consistently. And as a result, he's really having to watch out on the exits as that right side drifts ever closer to contact.
Yeah, and what's happening with him is that, you know, when you're dealing with speeds as high as these, they're doing almost 260 kph round the main straight. You're doing over 200 kph, 130, 140 miles an hour into the corners. So these guys are all the time teetering on the edge. And you can see here, Daniel Zegers going to the inside, Liam Gwynn to the outside. And once you feel on the wheel that you're about to lose the car, you wanna catch it as quickly as possible. So you start to get a little bit paranoid as well over every slight bump, every slight difference in the between the usual feeling and the feeling you have right now in the corner. So you're gonna tap the brakes and you're gonna, you know, straighten your steering wheel and save it and lose a little bit of time rather than take the risk and keep the throttle planted down and keep it going in on the full throttle. So, you know, you can lose these cars so quickly, as we've seen early on in this race, that they just don't want to take that risk. And that is why oval racing with open wheel cars is more difficult than it looks.
Meanwhile, after getting out to a 2-second plus margin as they battle behind, Nicholas Delp has managed to reel in Brendan Wilson. The gap now is down to just 0.2 of a second. You see there how much Wilson was losing per lap. On average, about 2.5 tenths, as much as 4 tenths on lap 63. And Delp is looking, and he's looking low. So Wilson, is he starting to set himself up to defend using the outside line, where he can carry more momentum around the corner? Well, let's see. It's lap 67. We've got 13 minutes remaining. And also, now Delp, he hits that buffer where the dirty air sits, and he starts to lose speed.
Yeah, that's what he starts to do now. You gain speed on the straight line, but you lose speed in these long corners, and that is agony sitting behind another car in speeds as high as these, because all the time you're hitting the dirty air. He's trying to look to the inside a little bit further, and that's actually a great move because he's not, you know, hitting the dirty air so much, because he's ducking underneath the dirty air, so to speak, and he gets to the outside and tries to challenge our race leader, Brandon Wilson.
I reckon it was a little bit too high on the entry there Of course, the outside being a longer way around the racetrack, you've got to make sure you get it absolutely right. Don't go higher than you need to. He did that there, but I think the reason was he was looking for the exit and the crossover, because that's what he did, and he found a huge burst of speed down the main straight, took away the race lead, and now he leads back into 3 and 4 on the next lap. Now, down low, Wilson is trying to take it back away, and Delp up top will get the run off the corner. At the line that time, there was just 3 thousandths between them.
Yeah, and Brandon Wilson, and he retakes the race lead. I was about to chime in, sorry to interrupt you, Ryan, chime in about the fact that Brandon Wilson, he needs to hold on to that lead right now. He's losing so much ground in clear air over Nicholas Delp. You saw how quickly Delp was able to catch up to him. So, Wilson needs to hold on with both hands and hold on to that leader position, because once he loses it, and this man who's challenging him, Nicholas Delp, gets a couple of laps in clear air, he might not get it back.
Meanwhile, as they battled, everyone has sucked up to them. Daniel Zegers says, hello, I've come to play. He's sitting in 3rd, and he wants to fight away by now as well. Liam Quinn back in 4th is coming. So too is Cranefoos and Watts. So this is going to really heat up if things stay how they are, and how they are is side by side. Wilson up top, Delp down low. Again, Delp has got his nose in front, but he can't quite complete it. Here comes Zegers. Zegers looking to the inside of Wilson. Wilson with the momentum, with the crossover, with the contact. Somehow, that doesn't result in an incident, and Wilson's able to come back to the race lead.
I guess they used all their bad luck earlier on in the race, and here comes Delp back into the challenge and crossover move. Fantastic work by Nicholas Delp, retaking that position. Oh, and here comes Zegers! Massive contact!
Zegers into the back of Brendan Wilson, up and over his car he goes, and hard in the defense of both of them. And that takes them out of the race. Look here, as Wilson got passed by Delp, then he wanted to come down low and try the crossover, but Zegers, he just got his car there, into the back. And I think you've got to put the blame on Wilson there.
Yeah.
I think he came down into Zegers, because Zegers was coming fast.
Yeah, what Wilson is doing there, he's got the horse racing eye-flaps on, and you're gonna see him, he lost the race lead. He's just looking at the race leader, he's just looking at Delp. He's not looking at all behind where Zegers is, and Zegers is gonna come into his blind angle, and that's a massive contact, both of the cars out. And there's nothing Daniel Zegers can do, because he's looking to the inside, he's entitled to do so. And here you can see it once again on board with Liam Quinn, who's gonna see it. You can see in front of him, Zegers has been looking at this for a while. He's looking to the inside, and then he's just gonna get a face full of tar.
Yeah, oh, how lucky was Liam Quinn to avoid that. Good job on the wheel work as well. Now, interestingly, we've got a split strategy from the field. Liam Quinn has come to pit road. Owen Watts has come with him, but most of the field has stayed out. So Liam Quinn and Owen Watts, they're going to have fresh rubber, and they're going to be storming back through the pack on this restart.
Yeah,
and in fact, Owen Watts actually beat Quinn out of pit road.
Yeah, and look at the field size. I mean, okay, you got under 10 minutes. You got about 9 minutes left of this race, probably, once we get back into the green. So time is an issue, yeah. But you got like 9 cars on the lead lap. Why would you not grab that fresh rubber after such a long stint? That puzzles me. Maybe because overtaking is so difficult. Maybe because the dirty air is so significant. Maybe these guys are not wearing the tires out as much as we thought. Either way, Liam Quinn is gonna be the man on the move here on this restart, and it's gonna be very interesting to watch his progress.
Well, he's not that far back. He's only 7th. Owen Watts is 6th. So both of those guys, they're going to be challenging hard. I don't know if Delp, Cranefoos, McDonald, Seitz, and Saroy have got anything to defend with here. Seitz, he's up into 4th. What a race he's had after starting at the back. He's kept his nose clean, which is crucial, and at the end of it, with 9 minutes to go, he finds himself in a really good spot for this restart.
Yeah, and if you want to go through the hard chargers in this race, the hard charger award, and, well, we got multiple candidates. Nicholas Delp, he started from pole, he's leading this race. Okay, that's normal, that's fine, that's expected. Daniel Cranefoos, he started 19th, he's sitting in 2nd. Mark McDonald, who's sitting in 3rd place, he started 21st. Greg Seitz, sitting in 4th place, he started 22nd. And David Serua, who who started 17th, is sitting in the 5th place. So all of those guys who started near the front are now lap or more back. You got Declan Eady started 10th, he's a lap back. You got Brandon Wilson starting 3rd, he's 11th. Eady started 5th, he's 10th. And Seeger starting in top 10, Swaby starting in top 10, Andreas Ake starting in top 10 as well, he started 2nd. So a lot of attrition here in this race, and that's going to benefit the guys who have been able to keep their nose clean so far. They have been able to be consistent, be calm with the strategy. They know it's a long race, they know it's a long sim race, and it's not going to end on lap number 1, lap number 2, lap number 3. And, you know, they followed the old rule, to finish first, you must first finish.
And you can see the position gain loss there on the left-hand side of your screen. Cranefuss up 17, McDonald up 18, Sykes up 18. Biggest loser, that's Goyon down 11, Ike down 12. Miller's up 14, he started dead last. So we'll get one to go this time. By Lutz will go out on top of the pace car. And we'll set ourselves up for the race start on lap 78. So we won't get to the 100 laps. The early cautions will put a stop to that. Now, Watts, Quinn, Ralphs, Miller, they're the 4 that have pitted. Watch for them to be blistering on this restart. Soroa, Seitz, McDonald, Cranefuss, Delp. I think the only way they don't get through is if the guys on the old tyres start running side by side, because then it's a question of whether Quinn and co are able to carry enough momentum to take it 3 wide and get the move done.
Or if they start racing each other, that's another thing.
Yes.
That's the last thing they want. Owen Watts, Liam Quinn, Aaron Roofs, those guys, they need to stay out of each other's way. There needs to be this unspoken agreement that, hey, whoever's the fastest, you know, lead our way through the pack, and then we can decide the victory among ourselves.
Time to settle it with 9 minutes to go. Let's hope we get a good green flag finish and a grandstand finish to our race here at Phoenix International Raceway. It's Nicholas Delp, the pole sitter, finally back up at the front for the restart. Let's see how he goes. Can it be a better jump than he got at the start of the race? He's going to hope it is. Green flag's back out, and indeed it is. A good jump for Delp. And a very even jump from everyone, in fact. They're stacked up behind David Soroy, though. And guess what? Who he's got behind him is Owen Watson, Liam Quinn.
Exactly, and that was more of what a start of the order looked like. And Quinn is going alongside Owen Watts. This is exactly what they were not supposed to do. You're doing exactly what you were not supposed to do, Liam Quinn. He better make it past quickly, but he doesn't. And as such, forced it too wide with Owen Watts early on. And they're gonna use their brand new stickers, their brand new rubbers. And Owen Watts, I think he made a note that, hey, don't race me right now. This is not the race you want. If you want to race for 6th place, fine. I want to race for the win in this event, and he's gonna catch up to David, and he's gonna be the first victim.
To the inside. Well, this would be a good test of how good those tyres are. He can't complete the move. So, new tyres, not making it that much easier to pass, it seems, for Owen Watts, because he's already 2 seconds behind the race leader, and the gap's going to get bigger and bigger as he continues in dirty air. The clock is going to wind down closer to a finish. So Owen Watts, Liam Quinn, did they make the wrong call pitting from inside the top 5?
You know, I don't think so. It's still early going, so you still got the tires a little bit cold. You still haven't got the pressures up. Maybe it takes a couple of laps, and maybe they just, you know, got it wrong. Maybe there isn't that much tire wear, or maybe they can't use that new tire to their advantage. It should still be a benefit, mind you, to get into that brand new rubber, but maybe it's a less of a benefit than they thought. Because look at Nicholas Delp, look at Cranefuss, look at McDonald. They're just running away with this one.
Yeah, Nicholas Delp's opened up a nice margin. He's got 9 tenths over Cranefuss, who's not showing any signs of closing. It's 1.3 back to McDonald, 1.9 back to Seitz. Then it starts to tighten up with everyone behind him, including the fresh rubber cars of Watts, Quinn, Ralphs, Miller. Still not finding progress of the tyres at the temp yet. It should be.
Yeah, they should be, but they're not. So, you know, it might be also a matter of maybe they've, you know, changed their car a little bit in pit stop. Maybe it's not as aggressive as they want, you know. They're running maybe a little bit too much. They forgot to adjust their car for a short final stint. You know, this is something that will pay off later on, absolutely. It might pay off in the last couple of minutes in this race, but so far we're not seeing any significant benefit. In fact, Owen Watts, 23.905 last time by. You compare that to our race leader, Nicholas Delp, 23.73. Daniel Cronefus, 23.67, so he's running 2/10 slower.
And Cranefus was the fastest car of the race last time by, and he does it again this lap. So he's going purple after purple lap at the moment. And he's starting to reel in Nicholas Delp. Maybe the tyre wear isn't that high on these cars.
Yeah,
It
and
would
maybe
certainly seem the case with Cranefus putting in purple laps now, sitting in second place. 3 laps in a row in the region at the 23.6. And Nicholas Delp's going to start to worry because he is getting very close now. Only half a second between them.
only half a second, and Cronefus is gonna hit that wall very soon, that dirty air wall. He's gonna get the benefit on a straight line, sure, but he's also gonna be pushing very wide in the corners. He's got McDonald behind him. McDonald is no slouch either. He's doing quite well. Delp is losing ground after the first couple of laps, so he got away, and then he's no longer getting away, and he has to be looking in his mirrors, and he has to be planning the defense. But once again, we only got less than 5 minutes to go. Still, that's gonna be over 10 laps. In fact, yeah, that's gonna be about on the region of 10 laps if we got 5 minutes to go. So we are running very close to the lap limit, but I think it's gonna finish it with like 96, 97 laps or so on. And again, now this is Mark McDonald going fastest lap. It's 5 a.m., cut me some slack.
Down to a third of a second. They're on lap 90 now. We might get to 100 laps.
Oh, we might. You're right. Maybe we get to Wayne Gretzky. Maybe we get to 99, or maybe we do get to full 100. We have to wait and see when the white flag flies, I guess. But Daniel Cranefus, he's hoping right now that they are getting to the full 100 because he needs every lap he can get.
Liam Quinn's got by Watts, and he's got by Soroya as well. So maybe Watts was holding up Quinn. It would certainly seem the case because he's now starting to run. And he's back into 5th place, but he is such a long way back. He's 3.6 away from the race leader, 2 seconds away from 4th place on the track. And Watts is actually starting to go backwards.
Yeah, Watts defending aggressively the inside of turn number 3. Once again, I wonder why, because you can hold the position very well on the outside. Here comes Aaron Ruff trying to take the position to the inside into turn number 1. This is gonna be very tight, and they come together just a little bit, but thankfully nobody spins around. So the new damage model showing its progress there, because with the old one that maybe would have been a rather ugly spin.
Here comes Cranefus for the race lead. He is closing, and as soon as he got to 0.3 of a second, he'd put in about 4 laps in a row to 23.6. Now it's 23.8. So the dirty air is in effect. What we saw earlier, people will overcome it, and McDonald in 3rd is closing as well. He's now just 9/10 away. If these two start to go side by side in front, we could see a scenario similar to earlier on when Zegers was catching.
Yeah, and Cronefus, I was listening to him at the exit of turn number 4, and he was lifting on the exit of the corner because he was caught out by the dirty air so much, and he needs to adapt now. He needs to go a little bit slower into the corner, bleed off here and full throttle from here on out. Then he can maximize and utilize the draft down the main straight and catch up to Nicholas Delp. It's not gonna be an easy task, not by any means, but it's not gonna be for the lack of trying, as we have about 5 laps to go after this one. 2 minutes left in the clock.
Yeah, you have to drive the car differently when you're right in the dirty air. Lifting off more is definitely one of the keys to that, exactly as you described. And now he's starting to overcome the dirty air, and he's starting to close. He was quite quick on that lap. Michael Delp will be looking feverishly in his mirrors at Cranefus with 1:45 to go. How many laps does that give us? We're on lap 96. We're going to get to 100, I dare say. It's going to be very tight.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Chronofus, his car is feeling very tight also in this dirty air. He made a mistake in turn number 1 last time by, cut a little bit to the apron. That's not what you want to do. He corrects it this time around, again pushing a little bit wide, so he's not able to put quite the laps down that he wants. He's pushing a little bit too wide. He's not quite getting it turned in. He's not finding the optimal place, between early line and late line.
The final lap of the race, and this has been declared the finish. The checkered flag flies for Nicholas Delp, and he will win at Phoenix International Raceway with a great drive back through the field after falling early. Although, the checkered flag did come up on our leaderboard for a minute, and not yet, they have finished.
So that's the race. Sorry about that, a little bit of confusion. It was earlier than we expected, but there you go.
It was.
Yeah, but it always comes to end earlier than you expect, really, doesn't it, Ryan? Don't answer that one.
Hey, let's go to a break here on the Global SimRacing channel. When we come back, we'll look at our full results here from PRL Indy Pro 2000 Series. Welcome back to Phoenix International Raceway on the Global SimRacing channel. Racing wrapped up, and this is how the results stand. Nicholas Delp started on pole, finished first. That doesn't tell the tale of his race. Daniel Cranfus coming home in second from 19th on the grid. Mark McDonald 21st to third. Greg Seitz 22nd to fourth. Liam Quinn 4th to 5th. What could have been for him after a late pit stop for fresh rubber didn't work out. David Soroa also gained 9 spots. Aaron Rouse gained 6. Owen Watts, another driver that got caught out by a fresh tyre gamble. JW Miller home in 9th from 23rd on the grid. And Declan Eady in 10th, first car lap down.
Linus Waby finishing 11th, 3 laps down, and 10. We're gonna run you through our list of retirements after the chaotic early laps. Brandon Wilson, Daniel Zegers, Andres Ake, David McDonald, Roland Jones, Michael Overbay, Alex Guillon, Stephen Varady, Armando Edwards, Mitchell Green, Nathan Lewis, Baron Daly, and Andrew Wood. That's your list of retirements, most of them from 17th down, over 90 laps down on the race lead. So that shows the attrition that we had early on in this race. It was what an exciting one and a tale of 2 races, Ryan. But right now you're going to talk to our race winner.
If ever there was a race of attrition, today was the one. Nicholas Delp, congratulations. You walk away with pole and a checkered flag.
Thanks, guys. I mean, I'm kind of shaking a bit. The last couple of laps, I was getting nervous.
Yeah, it was a wild race. Now, rewinding to the start, you had a pretty disappointing start. You lost a spot, and then on the restart, you lost another spot. Looked like you were struggling to fire off early.
Yeah, I wasn't too worried about it, though, because this is kind of the first oval race of the year, so I just wanted to kind of drive with them myself and not, keep some tires just in case, and just kind of watch and see how it would unfold, because I had a feeling long run it'd be pretty good, but yeah, so a couple spots early wasn't too big of a deal.
We had that big middle stint, a couple of them actually, and then we got to a caution with about 10 minutes to go. You opted not to pit. A couple guys did opt to pit. What was the tire wear like? Because we expected the fresh rubber to plow through the field. It turns out not the case.
Yeah, the tires, my tires held pretty well. Like I kind of mentioned, though, I did save a little bit at the beginning, but then, I think when I was in P3 before Andreas spun, I felt like I was kind of running down the fronts a bit, but it was still, in clean air, you could go flat out. So I was just kind of, I didn't know what to do at the pits, honestly. And I thought that if I pitted, I thought Liam maybe would stay out. So I kind of took the risk without fully knowing, and I guess it paid off.
Indeed it did. Talk us through the last couple laps then. Cranefuss running you down, and then he hit the dirty air and he started to fall back. What was going through your mind?
I think I owe some champagne to the dirty air, because it seemed like I think he must have not, he didn't take tires either, but maybe he did a better job at managing his tires, because I kind of shot out at the beginning to almost the second gap, but then, he was kind of crawling it back in. But it seemed like once he got to about 3/10 or a half second in turn one, I think the dirty air was kind of helped me there.
It did. So congratulations on taking the win here at Phoenix. Who do you want to thank for getting it done for you today?
First of all, I want to thank you guys in the booth, GSRC. I want to thank PRL for putting on this league. I also want to thank Team Talent and John HD for providing us with a monster setup. Got us on pole, and in the race it felt great. So big shout out to those guys, and just thanks for all the members for partaking. I know at the beginning we had some cautions, but ended up being a fun race.
Hey, thank you for joining us, and best of luck next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
So that was Nicholas Delp, your race winner. And now Aussie is standing by with Daniel Cranefuss.
Yes, I am, from one Aussie to another. So, Daniel, Road America, you were very unlucky. We all remember what happened there, hitting the incident limit on the last lap of the race and losing a great position. But here today, you were smelling the victory already and ending up in the second place. How big of a relief is it for you to get your championship started properly?
Oh, for sure. Huge relief. As much as I wanted to chase Nick down for that win, I was equally conscious of being in a really solid points position and did not want to make a mistake, especially with my teammates Mark and Greg close behind. So that was certainly on my mind.
Yeah, and you started 19th, so you had a good view of the opening laps. Now let's talk about the opening laps a little bit, because they were, how should we put it? Guys were still getting used to oval racing, it seems.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. For sure, it's super easy to get caught out on cold tires on the opening laps, especially in traffic. The car really wants to push, and then coming through turn 4, if you get your left sides onto that yellow line, you can break loose very suddenly. So for sure, you really have to just be very cautious 3 or 4 laps at the beginning of the run. And I think some of that is just, a little bit of inexperience, maybe a little bit of nerves. I know quite a few of the guys in the series have a lot of oval experience, so I think you have a bit of a mixture there, and that maybe breeds more of that as well.
Yeah, so Daniel, now a little bit of a tale of two races for you. You started 19th, not so great in qualifying, but then you came through the field in the race and were on a race-winning pace. How are you on ovals? We got 3 ovals in this series. You got Phoenix, then you got Worldwide Technology Raceway, and then you got Lucas Oil Raceway as the last round. How are you on ovals versus road courses?
Well, road courses is definitely where I've spent more of my time, but back in the day, I played a lot of NASCAR Racing 2003, a predecessor to iRacing. So, definitely familiar with ovals. Been around NASCAR for a little while, lived in North Carolina in the Charlotte area for a bit. So, I'm familiar with it. I have some seat time on the ovals, but nowhere near as much as road courses. So, right now, I'm a top 5 oval driver, but that could just as easily change in the next race.
Yeah, it will be blasphemy, Daniel, for you to not be familiar with ovals coming from North Carolina, the hotbed of NASCAR. Anyway, Daniel, congratulations for a great result out here today. Now, if you got anybody you would like to thank, any sponsors you would like to give a shout out to, by all means, please do so.
Sure. Well, first of all, big shout out to everybody at Rust Racing. So had some bad fortune for a couple of the guys, but some good fortune for other guys, and a lot of hard work from everybody on the team preparing the setup for this week. Couldn't thank Greg and Mitch more. Their setup work was amazing. The setup was awesome on long run. So really appreciate that. And otherwise, just thanks to my friends and family who are watching. Appreciate the support from everybody. And thanks to all of you guys at GSRC and the PRL for putting all this on for us. So thank you.
Hey, it's our pleasure. And that was Daniel Cronifus finishing in the second place. And last but not least, I do believe it is Ryan Jones talking to the man whose uncle had a farm.
What? Mark McDonald coming home in pick 3 today. Congratulations.
Indeed. You know, all the time on the farm really helped me on these ovals because we'd get the tractor up sideways right by the hogs. They go oink, oink, oink. And so I got a lot of really good sideways practice there. So that really set me up for this Phoenix race.
Oh, I'm sure it did. There was a lot of cars going very sideways in this race today. You managed to keep it relatively straight. You popped up to the front very late on. You started near the back and had to navigate your way through a lot of traffic. What was it like trying to get passes done? Because it looks like it was very difficult today.
I mean, my tactic for passing was to see people crashing ahead of me and then dive to the other side of the track without hitting anyone, which is not easy to do. So that's kind of the rule that I had for the race. I also had just a blinder of a start because I've started lots of official races from the back in restarts after I've crashed early on. So I had a lot of practice with kind of weaving through folks. So I got a really good start and then just tried to settle into a rhythm, and then slowly but surely people started, you know, racing harder and harder and had some contact, and we were able to move up. And really the biggest help was the setup that I was running, that Greg Seitz put together and did an awesome job on. And then got to give a shout out to Mitchell Ian Green. He unchecked one of the boxes on the setup, which really helped me. So for my own personal driving style. So those guys really, you know, made it so that we had a car that was awesome 30 laps into a stint. I think other teams went with a shorter stint, assuming more yellows. And, you know, after about half distance, there were so many cars that had binned it that we were able to run longer distances and get some really awesome racing.
Yeah, the racing was very good out there. Very much a multi-groove racetrack, it seemed like, which you don't normally associate with Phoenix here on iRacing. The top line was very powerful. What were you finding the best places to race? Was it up top or down low where you were finding the speed?
I'm a road racer at heart, and I've done very few oval races. So I take like that kind of natural like apex line through all these corners, which you don't really need to do and shouldn't do in many ovals. It works here a little bit, but I found, you know, I was always holding it too tight in 3 and 4 in the last corners. And if you touch that yellow line, it'll get like a little bit squirrely on you. And you do that a couple of times and you get a code brown pretty quick. So I was trying to get a little bit higher and kind of find where it would work. There was definitely a lot of dirty air running behind, you know, Nicholas and Dan. And it was just real tough, you know, to get within. Like 6/10 was awesome. I was setting fast laps, you know, my own personal fast laps. And then 5/10 I was just nowhere and couldn't get any closer. So they did a great job keeping it clean and racing really close, and hopefully put on a really good show.
It was certainly good fun to watch. Before we let you go, who are the sponsors to get it done for you? Any people you want to give a shout out to?
I want to thank Rust Racing and all the guys on the team. I really appreciate them including me this year. I ran last year just as my own in a different PRL series, and it's been great having teammates to practice with. So really appreciate it. A lot of fun and great setup work, especially this week. And I want to thank SIMMSA and ButtKicker for sponsoring the series, and I want to thank you guys for putting on a great show. Really appreciate it. See you next week.
Okay, much. Good luck next week.
Thanks,
so,
guys.
At the end of today, we saw some pretty good racing despite the early cautions, Ozzy.
Yeah, that's indeed the case. Now, it was very, very interesting. very, very interesting to look at this race all throughout the event. Like, you had the early part, cautions, the crashes, the attrition, everything, and then later on it kind of bloomed. I suppose it took taking half the field out for the race to bloom, and then we saw the great part of what small Formula racing at an oval can be. You have those constant passes, you have those, overtakes, and you have those battles that last long. You have to draft in a straight line versus dirtier in the corners. You have a bit of strategy, and in the end I found myself wanting another 100 laps. I'm not kidding. This would have been absolutely fantastic as a 200-mile race, or even 125-mile race. It ended a little bit too quickly for my taste, but other than that, it was a great event and a deserving winner.
Indeed it was. So we now look forward. Thank you again to SimMSA for their continued support of the series, and to Precision Racing League for putting this all together. Thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can find out how to get a hold of them on your screen, as well as June Alonze provides all of our music. Thank you to the team with me today, Ozzy and Joe. You can find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, over on WebelSimRacingChannel.com, or our social media at Twitter at GSRC Channel, Facebook at Webel Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. The link to our merchandise store is in the description below as well if you want to check that out. Don't forget to hit subscribe though, we're nearly at 11k, and help us get there. Next race of this series is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Plenty other races coming up before then. You can take a look at those up on your screen. But from all of us here in the booth, thanks for joining us, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.